Good day, everyone. This is Juanita Kapp from Meticulous Moments, and of course, ma'am, the Meticulous Martial Arts Mastermind. And this evening, there is a very, very special session that is going to commence. There's a lot of things that's going to be discussed, and it's all good energy, guys. It's all uplifting things, and it is such a pleasure and a wonderful honor for me to be here. What a walk it has been since 2020 with Meticulous Moments and with ma'am. Never in a million years when I started these movements did I think I would get to this place. And it's really been an amazing journey. Not easy every day, but it's been a beautiful journey. I've learned so many things. I've met so many incredible people around the world. And I'm going to bring on one of my wonderful friends, Vince Murdocco. He's one of our guests this evening. He's here with me. How are you, Vince?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. Yourself, Juanita?
I'm doing very well, thank you. And I'm
Good.
very excited to share with the audience what we are going to be doing once a week. Would you like to tell the audience?
Well, I think it's better that you tell them.
What we're going to do, guys, is we are going to come together once a week and we're going to have a session. It's going to be a raw session. It's going to be a very to the point session, and we are going to be discussing life topics and positive energy, and we're going to be talking about external energy and internal energy and discussing life skills on how to overcome those hurdles, how to grow through the pain and the processes that we go through in life. So it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful session every week. We want to encourage you to join us live here on
For
Mondays.
sure.
And I'm so happy that Vince is going to be doing that with me because we have a lot to discuss. We have energy that we want to share with the world, and what happens to that energy? It goes out and it ripples. It has a ripple effect, and that's what we're here for. We want to bring community upliftment, right?
You got it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now we have another surprise for you this evening. That is, we have Don Mcquire with us here in the studio at Meticulous Moments. Welcome, Don.
Hey, Don.
So it's an honor and pleasure to be. Can't even speak tonight. It's an honor and pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. Don and I have been talking. We've known each other for a very long time. He was inducted into MAM in 2024 and 2025. Our brother, Stephen Player, shout out to him, Nate Wren, Yaki Lopez, all our brothers out there. They always have my back. They are like my brothers that I never had growing up. And Don and I have been talking about doing an interview for a few months now. So I rang him up this week and I said, Don, we have to do your interview. You know, it's the start of a new year. He said, you know what? I had a phone call with Vince and I want Vince to be on the session. I said, my goodness, Vince and I are starting a session on Monday soon. Let's do it. So here we are. So what would you like to share with us this evening, Don?
Well, like I said earlier before we went live, what I said is wasn't scripted. I look at life a whole lot different than a lot of people. I run by my own narrative, and when I look at things, I've had great honors bestowed upon me. I've had a great walk, but still, at the end of the day, I'm just Don Mcquire. I look at back to the 16-year-old kid that was sitting on the porch stoop, and a man came in my life and gave me purpose. Not only did he give me purpose, 3 months later, he gave me my wife, his granddaughter. And the rest of my walk, yeah, it was riddled with surgeries and opportunities and growth. But everybody always wants to focus on the negative or what's got a person down. I had every reason to lay in the bed and say, I don't want to do this anymore. I had every reason to walk away my first 10 surgeries into this. But here we sit at 255. And people say it's physically impossible. Nothing's impossible.
Mm-hmm.
See, impossible is a word that we set we set it upon ourselves. You know, am I embarrassed that I come on here tonight and I'm not the world renowned podcaster and show and Emmy Award winner? No, because this is real. This is raw. This is what our medical system has done to me. And people need to realize that although I suffer, I still get the glory of every day. See, and like me and Vince and you both, there's so many that have it worse than me, you know. And I said this in one of my Hall of Fame speeches. If I don't feel sorry for myself, then why should you feel sorry for me? I'm not handicapped. I'm handy-capable.
Good.
And that's the truth. See, people want to fall on the knee and cry. But when you have responsibilities, that there's no room for that. Sick, you got to get up and shoot that fight. Surgery, 3 days later, a day later, if you want to eat. That's how I became a legend in this industry. And see, it doesn't even end with me. See, success is about what you give back to your community. It has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
See, so many people want to look at the book and the cover, and I know that's so cliche, but beyond this, there is a man that gave 42 years of his life and didn't take one penny from one fighter. That's verified, factual. I just recently got put into the the historical records for the Campbell Township 2A in the state of Missouri. I'm the 5th person to be put into the modern new era. Do I deserve this? No. But am I the one to judge what people perceive of me? You know, see, what keeps me grounded is I don't see what you see. I don't see what others see. I see a man that was honored with a job and did the job to the greatest of my ability. And that's the beauty of it. I was wanted there. I didn't need to be there. You know, I have my master's in engineering science. I have my lower degree in mechanical engineering technology. I walked away from big money to do what I do full time. You know, people don't understand the struggles of what Vince, you, other athletes in this industry go through. See, when I talked about that 16-year-old kid on the porch stoop, what that man gave me, he gave me a life. So when he made me promise that everybody that I touched, that I gave to them what he gave to me, well, he gave me a life. So I in turn gave others a life. So it's not that I'm the greatest of all time. It's that I'm a man that kept 2 promises. Well, one to my wife's grandfather, and the other to my wife. That because I had her walk away from her dreams, so I can live mine. That I would make sure our family was etched into history, and I did just that.
What was his dream, Don?
To honestly, to do what I was already doing, running the Hilton Hotel executive aspect of the engineering departments for the corporation. You know, but you go where your heart is. You go where you're needed. You go where the Lord guides you. I didn't plan on doing this. I had no intent on doing this. This is purely God. This is what's so profound. I'm gonna tell you a quick story. And I know I'm long-winded, but I can give two corn egg. When I was a very young man, my wife's grandfather made me go to Capital Christian Center. There was a man by the name of Dave Reaver who was speaking, an evangelist who traveled around, had a some kind of explosive device go off and blow his face, half his face off, and ripped his chest open to where he could see his own heartbeat. Now this man was speaking at Capital Christian Center in Sacramento, and I was forced to go there that night. I didn't want to go, but I listened to this man's words. I listened to this man's testimony. And before I knew it, I was at the foot of the altar. And I accepted our Lord and Savior. Now here's where I'm gonna fast forward to just 2 years ago. I had been missing my wife's grandfather. We've been gone 20 plus years. Missing him so bad that I prayed to the Lord, prayed to my grandpa, give me somebody that would touch my heart or give me the knowledge. Along comes a gentleman by the name of Artie Lamparella. Calls me up and says, I don't let anybody in. He's from Ace Morada, Billy Costello, Evander Holyfield, all them, Pernell Whitaker back in those days. And he becomes my adopted grandfather. And like his wife says, we're not his adopted grandparents, we're his grandparents. So Artie asked me, Don, who brought you to Christ? And I said, well, Dave Reaver did. He said, get out of here. I said, no. Dave Reaver's the one that brought me to Christ. He said, that's my buddy Steve's best friend. And a week later, Dave Reaver was on my show talking about my wife's family and how that he felt that they were the only ones that made him feel beautiful.
That's amazing. That's a kairos moment. Kairos in Greek, that means a divine appointed time. So you had this desire in your heart, you expressed it, and then God brought that friend of the grandfather to you. And you know, when you were talking about being at the altar, before you knew it, you were at the altar. We call that an altar call. How many lives are transformed when the Holy Spirit is moving in the church and people come out for prayer. I was a pastor for 15 years and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, I just 24/7, I just threw myself into every project. And then COVID hit and all the churches closed and everything went digital. And I didn't have that work with the people, you know, like in person. And I missed that because I'd been doing it so long, you know. And then my mom passed away from stage 4 brain cancer. And I was like, Lord, what am I going to do now? You know, she was my best friend. And on her deathbed, she said, Juanita, you are busy with the church 24/7. She said, I'm 65 years old. I still wanted to go places. I still wanted to learn more instruments. I still wanted to go see some people, you know, learn more things. She said, go and do something that makes you very happy. Don't limit yourself to one thing. And, you know, because the churches were closed, everything went online. And that's how Meticulous Moment started. And ma'am, so you're talking about how God led your steps. I'm a testimony of that, and I'm sure Vince as well. Vince, tell us about how God has directed your steps in life.
You know, I had a similar thing with what Don had, but a little different. I'm in California. I live in Vancouver, Canada, and you know, I used to go to church quite often, but in California, I didn't really find my little niche yet. You know, such a big place, you get lost, you know, in the whole shuffle. But one day I was walking down in North Hollywood and I come upon a church, and this church was beautiful. And I just looked at it, kept looking at it. And then I see the writing on top of the church, and it said HV Militia. And I didn't understand what that meant. And I kept looking at it and go, Heaven's Militia? And I'm like, I was a little confused at first. I said, what does that mean? So I went in the church, and as soon as I walked in, I felt like when you go somewhere where everything is comfortable. I
Yeah,
felt at
you just feel it.
ease. I felt like everything. This is where I need to be. I hadn't gone to church in, let's say, months, and I finally walked in. And I said to myself, "This is exactly where." And I felt comfortable, and to me that gave me that extra strength, because in LA everybody's lost.
Yeah,
Nobody has family. Most people who live in LA, their family's somewhere else. All these people come from all over the world, try to become an actor or a musician,
yeah,
and they're all by themselves. They don't have family there to give them support. But when I walked in the church, I said to myself, this is where I've been missing. I missed that. And so that gave me the peace that I needed. And when I walked out of that church, I felt like I just went home. And you know what? There was no better feeling. So when I left and I started to continue my journey in LA, it felt comfortable
yeah.
that I was able to, you know, find a place that made me feel whole.
You
And
could love
so
it.
after that, I started, looking at the church and looking at different things. And I was thinking, a lot of people do movies and they talk about God, and then you hear about these things where you hear stories. Oh, there's a flood, and all of a sudden the father's and it's rising, and the priest is on the patio, and he says, and all of a sudden a guy in a rowboat shows up and says, "Father, come on in, jump in the boat." And the priest says, "No, the Lord's going to take care of me. Save yourself." So the guy in the boat takes off. All of a sudden, a plane over the top or a helicopter shows up and goes, "Father, grab the rope." The priest says, "No, son, save yourself. The Lord's going to take care of me." All of a sudden, you see the Coast Guard shows up and goes, "Father, come on, it's getting higher." He goes, "No, the Lord's going to take good care of me." Well, the priest dies, and he's in front of God, and he's mad because he
Yeah,
served all his life, and he said to himself, you know, "God, like, well, you abandoned me. I served you all my life." And then all of a sudden, God says, "Listen, I sent you first a guy in a rowboat. You said no, go on your own. I sent you the Coast Guard. You told him to go away. I sent a helicopter. You told him." He goes, "What do you want me to do? Come in person?" Because that's impossible. So that's
true.
that's heaven's militia. And so God has great people in certain positions, that are here on this planet to save us. But we don't realize it. So all these beautiful people, who make a difference in our life, the police, the ambulance, the Coast Guard, those are all, God's children. And they're there to help us,
Yeah,
and we don't really realize it. And so I finally realized that's what heaven's militia is about. Is there's people who help everybody, like Juanita and Don. You make my life clearer. And just talking to Don in the last couple of days, you know what, it was such a great feeling to talk to somebody who, when he speaks, you feel like, wow, that's beautiful.
yeah,
And you clear up the foggy parts.
yeah.
And so, and then after I asked Don, I said, "Don, when did you realize God was, helping or in your life?" He said, "7 years old. I was holding God's hand." And to me, it
Beautiful.
was beautiful. And
Wow.
he asked me, he goes, "And you're feeling it too, aren't you, Vince?" And I said, "Yeah, I am." And he said something that was really, really very important for me. He says, "It's not always going to be like that." He goes, "You got to remember, it doesn't always be like what it is now. Right now, for some reason, I'm getting blessed with a lot of opportunity. I'm talking to you two, and I was working in my father's restaurant this morning. I didn't think I'd get to this moment. So, he's holding my hand and he's leading the way. But you guys are the heavens militia right now, and to me, that's it's a gift, and I'm very proud to be here.
That is
Well,
wonderful. That is wonderful. I was
can I?
thinking about peace, Don, when Vince was talking about the peace. And I want to direct that question to you and Vince. I want to ask you guys, how important is it to protect your peace? That peace that you get from God, that peace that surpasses all understanding. How important is that to you?
Don,
It's,
you go ahead.
it's just so important that see for people to understand. This is going to sound so arrogant and shallow, but I don't know what version of Don Mcquire people want to be friends with, and so coming from that narrative, I have a high IQ in the first place. So I learned that my greatest cheerleader is my wife and my son. My greatest value is my heart and what I give to the community. Other than that, I sit by myself because I find my greatest peace in self revelation. You know, I think me and Vince, I don't know if we got this deep, but life is like a car, like a car windshield. You know, everybody sees through this great big windshield. But we forget about that small rearview mirror, and we're supposed to forget. But we're only supposed to look in that mirror when we're self-reflecting, and we're trying to find a defining aspect to a character or regard of our nature. You know, it's a shame that our walk with spirituality and things are under attack in this world fair that we live in. But I, as an industry leader and a world-renowned aspect, will always find that inner peace through Christ.
For sure. And what was the question again?
How important? I see. Listen, Don, I want to tell you
I'm
something.
listening to Don and I just,
No,
I'm
I
like,
think
wow,
Vince is
okay.
like, he's like, you got emotional there.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
thing. I can really tell that this is a Kairos moment. God is doing something. And I am so blessed that He's busy in our lives. And we might be Heaven's Militia, Vince, but you're Heaven's Militia too, because I see all the good you do where you go. So I would
Yeah.
like you to know that as well from Don and I. The question was, how important is it to protect your inner peace, to preserve that peace? The Bible says it's a peace that surpasses all understanding, that peace that God gives us.
A lot of people, I find that there's so many different religions lately that the media and everything's just thrown at you. The Muslims, everybody else. And, you want to say to everybody else, listen, you know, and I kind of relate to it in a way where it's like martial arts.
Yeah.
There's kung fu, there's taekwondo, there's Kokushinkai karate, and there's many more. You
Yeah.
name it, and people will all of a sudden want to create their own.
Yeah.
There's their own styles, and I get it, but there's only one God.
Mm-hmm.
And what I see is that everybody wants their God to be better than our God, but it's the same guy.
Mm-hmm.
And the sooner they realize that, I think the world will be a better place. I think they do know, but they want to be the ones who, and that's why since the beginning of time there's been this battle, and the battle's been against each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's just pointless.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, because I have lots of people with different religions, and I don't preach. but what I do is good things, like you said. You know what? I help people, and
Yeah.
what I do is I change their day. If you're having a bad day, you give me a call. I'll change your moment because I have the power,
Yeah.
and it is power to change what I'm doing. I don't ever just stay in that. If I'm negative, I will not continue my day as a negative person. I will
Mhm.
throw it away quickly and I will change immediately. And what God does for me is He gives me the strength to not let anything bother me. I mean, I can't imagine. I can't imagine a day without me smiling and laughing. You know, I am the most positive person you can meet. But don't get me pissed off because I will ruin your day. But I will enjoy ruining your day. And so that's where I find the strength. And for me, you know, it's important to have peace. And you know what? Like Don, it's all about family
All
and
right.
you know friends. And as long as is they're happy, you know, I'm gonna let the world live another day. But you know, what I always said to people before is, you know, when you have wars everywhere, you know, my biggest strength is my mother. Like she's
Mhm.
strong. She's like no other woman in this world. And I always said to people, if mothers would fight in any war,
Yeah.
that war is over
That's
very quick
right. Oh yeah.
because they are, without a doubt, given such strength and that
I know.
men have no idea, and
Yeah.
they do maybe, but the women are very, very powerful. And
Amen.
like Don says, his biggest asset's his wife, and it's
Yeah.
beautiful to see. And that's what life's about. You know, once you realize that, you know, you can't lose. So, and like I said, don't piss off women because it's time to do something. Me and Don, we're out of there.
I was thinking of
Right?
two things. I saw I'm a very positive, very nice person, but don't mess with my kids.
That's right.
You know. So I posted this one video. I was laughing with my son. We were watching the reel together. It's Harlequin, and it's this little boy where the words at the top says, "Okay, we mocked you now, so go tell your dad." And the little boy says, "It's not my dad that you have to worry about." And then you see Harlequin walking there with the bat, and I was like, "That's me," you
That's
know.
right.
So I was training with Kim Blake. She's a world champion in jiu-jitsu. Very, very amazing friend of mine. And we were at a Carlos Machado jiu-jitsu spring camp in Dallas. And we were training together. And it was the first time we met in person. We've been friends for years, but the first time we actually met in person. And after the day of training, she came to me and she said, "Juanita, you are very nice. You're always so kind and you smile." She said, "But on the mat, you're very violent." And we started laughing. So I hear you. I hear you. Your thoughts, Don.
That's right. So true.
Can I ask Vince a question?
Sure.
I I wanted to do the show with you. I personally, I'm very transparent. I personally asked you to come on this show. With me. See, I look at life as you take your first day and you create a stone and you lay the stone down at the end of that day, and that's the beginning of the creation of your walk. You know, and over decades or an extended period of time, we create so many stones that articulate so much wisdom, so many regards in life, and we grow from these things. Now that you sit here on this show with me tonight, when you look at your life as a complete, not just in the industry, but as a man, which stone defines you the most, my friend?
That's a really good question, Don. You know what? You're right. I have a lot of stones in front of me, and I haven't put that stone in front of me yet. And so right now, you're giving me that opportunity to bring it, and we're all gonna find out soon because I haven't really put that stone down.
That's deep. Because
Wow.
a lot of people really don't understand that retrospect, and it's a creative thought and perception. And see, I feel exactly how you feel, even though this isn't the Don McGuire that the world knows. This is the Don McGuire. This is the Don McGuire. And that part of me will never walk away, will never fade away. See, the incredible thing about if you remember the truth, if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember the lie. It creates a legacy, a ripple. Because, like I said, you have to answer for you. You have to wake up to you. But who are you waking up for? Is the most important question.
That's amazing. That is amazing. I was thinking about something now as you were asking that question, and then Vince, impeccable question and impeccable answer from Vince. And I thought to myself, you know what's going through my mind like this? It's the power of a challenge, the powerful effect that a challenge can have in our lives. I'll tell you why I thought about that. When someone, now that's going to be the next question. When someone tells each of you that you are not going to be able to do a certain thing, what is your reaction? I'll tell you what my reaction is. I take that and I make it my fuel, and I make sure that I do that certain thing that they said I'm not able to do. It's something that clicks in my head. It's something it's a light that goes on. It's in me. I can't change it. I was a young youth pastor in the ministry almost 2 decades ago, and there was I'm not going to elaborate on the person, but I sat in a certain person's office, and he said, "You are never going to accomplish anything in the ministry." Those were his words. And I replied simply but very kindly. I said, "Watch me." 10 years later, that was the exact same person that had to ordain me and that apologized to me in front of the whole host of executives and pastors that were there, because I made it my mission. And I'm sure God did that on purpose because he was working in me. Now I want to ask both of you, what do you do when someone says you will never ... What happens inside of you when you hear those words? Who wants to answer first?
Okay, well, that's the worst thing you could ever say to me. That that's the faux pas. You know what? You tell me I can't do something. You just woke up the giant.
Right.
You know, and it happened when I was younger. Somebody said this agent, I wanted to be an actor, and she told me I might as well quit now. You know what? You don't have what it takes. And I looked at her and I went, "Wow, that's great." You know, and I never. I kept sending her the articles whenever I made something or the DVDs. I just wanted her to know that you know, I think the more negative people you have around you, the more successful you'll be.
Yeah.
Keep them close. My dad always said to me, "Keep your friends close and keep your enemies closer."
Yeah.
And so you know what? You couldn't fuel me better than that. And you know what? Tell me I can't do something. It's just like, you know, you're gonna get killed. You're just gonna get squashed.
Yes.
You know, there's nothing I can't do. And really, unless it's walk a tightrope, stuff that I really don't want to do. But in life, if you try to challenge me, you're gonna lose.
Yeah.
And I just I look at Don. He's so calm and relaxed, but don't piss him off
Yep.
Yeah.
because you know it's like being in a school. When you were a kid and you got bullied, because I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got bullied, and that bully. Let me tell you, he got it, but never when he expected it. And I'll tell you a little funny story. Me and my brother were about 5 or 6 years old, and we just came to Vancouver, Canada. We're just in the new neighborhood. We come from Montreal. We speak French. We don't really speak English. But my mom wanted to take us to a community center. So we went to a community center to have fun, and there's trampolines and stuff, and all these other kids are there. So we joined trampoline. I mean, we're outgoing kids, so we're bouncing up and down, and other kids are there, and we got more time than they had. This is the first bully thing that I had when I was a kid. And so after it was over, we're walking home, me and my other brother, and the kids that weren't getting the trampoline time came up to us and kind of stopped us outside and said, and tried to pick on us. And they took my brother's pen from he had a shirt, he had a pen. They took his pen.
Hmm.
And then they tried to bully us, where they made us pull our pants down. Now we're 5 or 6 years old. Nothing, and hence 7 years later, I'm at a pool outside, summertime, and this kid comes up and starts talking to me. And for some reason, I look at him, and he looks familiar, but I don't know where I know this kid. And all of a sudden, we start talking. We're playing in swimming pool and stuff. And he's a big kid, but now I grew up a little bit. And I look at him, and I said, "You look so familiar. I just don't know where it is." And I said to him, "Did you ever?" Community said, "You ever do trampoline and that stuff when I was a kid?" "Yeah, I used to do that." Well, right then I knew it was the kid that bullied my brother. So what I did is I punched him, and the swimming pool is made out of cement. I dragged him with his shirt off around the swimming pool. And I said, "Do you remember what you did with me?" I said, "So now nobody else here to help you." And I wouldn't stop dragging him around. People had to take me. The people had to, I was like a bull. You couldn't stop me. So I dragged him around the pool, and he got all scratched in his back. And I remember the parent coming to my mom's house, and trying to talk to me, that your son just did this to my son. And I see him out of the corner of my eye riding his bike across where I live, right in the street. You never seen a kid run at full speed just by someone and take him right out? I hit him off that bike like he was standing still with the father at the door. It was just so crazy. But I looked at my brother and I said, "I got him. That's the kid. I got him." And so if anybody tries to challenge me or tries to, when it comes to protecting family, like you said, Juanita, that's, it's another game. You're going to lose.
Right.
And so,
Yeah.
I hope I answered the question.
You did. Absolutely. Don, very, very good to know. Very good.
What was the question again?
You know what? You explained that so well. I actually saw it happening in front of me.
Oh my God! I tell you,
Thing
it was just,
unfold.
because it just came to me when you said the question to me, and I can't remember what the question was, but when you said that, it flashed to him doing that, and I never forgot that, and I remember looking at, like I said to my brother, never forgot that. I looked at him straight and really serious. I got the guy.
That's cool.
I got him. And you know what? That's where life comes in, and you say, be nice to everybody. Because you know what? You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
And that kid could have been nice to me, and we could have been great friends. But he chose the wrong path.
that's right.
And you know what? And paybacks. That's why God has a great plan for all of us, and I
Yeah.
believe that. Don really hit me with that question. Now he's gonna haunt me with that one. The stones, because to tell you the
Yeah.
Yeah.
truth, I haven't put that stone down yet.
Yeah.
And you know what?
It's
And
a
and
challenge.
that I said to myself, I told people today, I said, I'm going on a podcast with this Don guy, Mcquire. I said, you have no idea what this guy's done. I kept pulling up stuff on Facebook, and I go, you don't understand. This guy, WBC, WB, like people, if you're a man or if you're a boy or whoever, and if you watched any kind of sports or boxing at all, the guy I'm speaking to right now that I'm on a podcast with knows them all.
Right.
And you got to understand that those are legends, like
That's
legends.
right.
And so as a kid growing up, I loved that. And Don knows them. And like we were talking, Don, on the phone, and I was at work, and Don says, he started mentioning fighters. And I said, and he was saying, I was speaking to Juanita, we got to get boxing into the MMA, because you got to have this to become a Hall of Fame, to be real. And I was like, yeah. And I said, I brought a boxer to the MMA, and I mentioned the guy's name, Donovan Boucher, and I said, he's a champion. But then Don started mentioning legends, and I was like, oh, I felt like I was just a little kid. Just I pulled out a toy, and Don pulled out a laser gun. You know what I mean? And just shot my baby toy in a million pieces.
Smithereen.
And I was saying to myself, I better shut up. Because
No.
I was trying to feel like I'm part of it, but
Right.
I'm not even there. But that's why I haven't put my stone down yet, Don.
It's gonna
I
happen.
I still got a lot of growth to do.
It's gonna
And
happen.
I think and you got me. You
Well, I'll tell you, the
Let
key
me tell.
self-preservation is the key.
Yeah.
You look at a dynamic, and the theory says my head should be big. I should have an ego, a mile high.
Right.
But I don't.
That's why we love you.
Yeah.
That's why we're talking.
Exactly. Let me tell you how I met Don.
Well, I remember the question real quick. I do
Oh, you
remember
remember?
the
Oh, we
question.
almost forgot about that.
Yeah, about the people that told me that I would never be anything. See, this is the beautiful part that created me, and you guys are gonna say beautiful part, and you're not really gonna understand. See, back when I was a kid, I'm 63 years old. So back when I was a kid, when a man left a woman, especially like my dad left my mom when I was 5, she had 6 other kids. It may be an ugly truth, but it's the truth. They would bring somebody into the house quickly because she was already working 2 jobs, at the hospital during the day and in the fields during the night. And if that wasn't enough, they would bring men in. And like with my mother, the man beat me profusely. But instead of doing the right thing, you can't say she did or she didn't. Because she may have pushed me away. And as a kid, I resent that. But as a grown man who got an opportunity with her, I value and appreciate that. Most people will never understand that I was shipped from place to place, and I was just a mere baby. End up with my real father, who was extremely wealthy, who came up the second day when I was 7 years old. It said I didn't sign up for this BS and put me in the military cadet school. And that's where I went from when I was 7 until I was 14. And that's what Vince is talking about. You know, I, as a child, had to go into a world that I never even knew existed, let alone be treated with discipline. And they say they're teaching you, but as a child in that environment, it's not helping you. It's harming you in a lot of regards. But I took that, and I created a man that, when they said would never be anything. When I came home at 16 and wasn't wanted, my brothers and sisters, most of them millionaires, taunted me. But where are they? Where am I? See, the difference is they became successful and bragged about it. See, when you do something for the wrong purpose, there's no intent, but there's no relevance either. If you do something for others, as a promise, it creates a unique complexity. Because my whole 42-year career is based off of two promises. Well, actually three. One to my wife's grandfather, one to my wife, and one to my Lord and Savior. And it developed me, but it created a world of hate. See, people don't understand, with fame comes immense hate. And when you're black and white like I am, then you're really hated. Because I'm not going to shut my mouth because you're cheating on your wife. Not going to happen. I'm not going to shut my mouth and let you disrespect the fighter in front of me. See, this is where Burt Watson, as my mentor, the manager of Smoking Joe Frazier, he taught me, you don't ever let people devalue your worth, not even yourself. You don't take from anybody, and you give with your greatest intent. And that's all I've done my whole walk. But yet here I sit at the top, hated more now than ever. When all I've ever done is give. So you tell me, as two people sitting in front of me, what is it about my 42-year career that I've given every bit and soul, part of my soul, to create for others? Why am I the most hated on so many regards? Before you answer, in life, the top will always tell you they want to see you do good. They just don't want to see you do better than them. And because I have, now I'm an outsider.
You're bang on with that one. Nobody, and my father said this once and a couple of times. We run an Italian business. It's a coffee shop. And no Italian wants you to do well. They'll say it, they do, but they won't support you later on. It's funny how that works. Right. The communities used to stick together back in the day. Italians would help each other, Italians. And once you get ahead of the other ones, they pull back and they stop the help, and that's because they're jealous.
Mm.
And jealousy is very, very, it's a different animal, and it's a disease.
Yep.
And
See,
it's
see,
something.
envy used to be. I used to look at envy as a momentary lapse of judgment.
Yeah,
I really did. But now envy is truly vindictive
Yep.
hate.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
And
Very hard.
Juanita and I'm not going to bring any names because I don't roll like that. But Juanita and I, in the past years, have had to deal with lies behind our backs from aspects that claim to be. But you could take my bio and put it through a disseminator, and it's going to come across as factual. But the person that I'm speaking of, you take theirs, and it says that none of it is factual.
Mm.
So I'll leave the conversation, right at that moment.
Let me tell you something. Vindictive people are the worst. Oh my
So
goodness.
worse.
I don't even know where they get the energy to be busy with the stuff they're busy with. I mean, how draining must it be a vindictive person and just be negative and be all curled up in that mush all the time? Instead, where you can throw off that garment of heaviness and put on that garment of praise and help other people. I mean, that's much such a more joyous life to live. But I've had my share of that too.
But
Honestly,
misery finds misery. So what I've noticed, dealing with public is, so say there's a person's always negative.
right?
Guess what? They find other negative people
Yes.
that they're like magnets. Have you ever said, that guy's really like too much, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden he finds another one that's just like him, and you go, could you imagine those two finding each other? And they do. So,
Yeah.
and I'm the total opposite. If there's someone negative talking around me, I
Yeah.
look at them and I walk away. I got no time for this.
Yep.
So the less you interact with anybody negative,
Yeah.
the better you're gonna be. And
That's
so I eliminate negativity. You start talking negative to me, I'm leaving.
Yep.
I don't even give you the chance to try to get me to side on your side. I guess it's a magnet. When you put the two magnets together and it
Yep.
always pulls each other apart? That's how I am. If you don't have anything positive to say, you can't stick to me.
Good.
That's why me and Don, we hit it off right away. It's because
Absolutely.
we're on the right side. As soon as he opened his mouth or the phone rang and I saw Don, I went like, click, Don. You know what I mean?
Magnet.
It was like bang. And we talked for half an hour.
Yeah.
And I was walking around the restaurant and he didn't know I was working. And I said, hey, Don, by the way, listen, I got to go. I said, I'm working right now. He goes, well, why didn't you tell me right off the bat? I said, because I wanted to hear what you had to say. Because anything that was coming out of his mouth was what I wanted to hear. So we left right away. There was no negative. It wasn't the magnet that goes like this. Or else I would have said, Don, I got to go. I'm at work. But it didn't. I had a great conversation with me, and that's why I'm here now. Is
That's
because
right.
he invited me. And you know what? Thank you, my friend.
Oh,
It's
thank you.
amazing. And I want you to know I'm shining the stone up slowly because now I know where to put it. You've given
Yes,
me
sir.
a little bit more clarity. And I see what you, because that question is a tough one, man.
That one's gonna stick,
It's
right?
not- like I've heard people ask me things, but that one, and I'm gonna bring it up again and again. But Don, that one's a question. And you see, when you reflect, it's like it's big.
Yeah.
It's a big one.
It's life
You
changing.
know what, Don? I'm gonna tell you one thing. When I do put that rock down, I'm gonna definitely remember and let everybody know that you were the man who made me think about it and put it down. Because when I put it down, Don, I'm gonna rock this world, my friend. I guarantee you.
You bless me, brother. See,
Man.
It's I guess that's why I'm a photographer. It's I do, like I said, I don't want to toot my horn, but I have a very high IQ. But I think a lot of that is because of forced education in a lot of regards. But I enjoyed it. People, as we had things up here tonight, people always ask me, would I change a thing? And if you sit back and you look at my entire walk, my entire purpose, my entire being, I'm a firm believer in the philosophy. If you remove one grain of sand, then you change the person's whole purpose. And so, if I had to live this life over again, would I? And the answer is a resounding 100% yes. And I'll tell you why. The merits, the accolades on the real side of the heart are meaningless. See, and people will say, how could I say that by being, and I'm one of the most accomplished, ignorant, and knowledge people in the industry. I'm not disregarding the merit. I'm not disregarding the accolade. But it's not my purpose. It's part of my walk. Like Vince says, he's one day he'll set that stone down. Well, one day I'll set this stone from this decade down, and then I'll have an understanding of where I am and what I've accomplished, because I don't look at it as merit based. I don't look at my walk as defined by an award or social media, because I existed long before social media. Not to be rude or anything, but let me ask you, Vince, how old are you, sir?
I'm 59.
Yeah, I've been doing this since you were 17 years old.
Yeah.
When you start looking at it in that regard, either I loved what I did, or truly am the most stupid person you ever met. And I'd love to believe I loved it. But the only question that I would have at the end of my career, if they ever did a roast or did a thing, my only question would be, because I'm inducted in all four genres, would be, why in the world do you tout these world-class jiu-jitsu competitions, and then when somebody like Rafael Lovato Jr. goes out there and performs like a well-oiled machine, you get a T-clap? I'm kind of being sassy, but I've shot these invitationals, these black belt only, for JW Wright, the owner of Fuji BJJ and Fuji Sports, a very good friend of mine. That's the only aspect of the sport. The only question that I've ever been boggled by. I've done just about every regard, but when it comes to jiu-jitsu, it's these beautiful events, these tremendous locations, these tremendous athletes, this beautiful sport, the science of a sport, but yet it's just a mere T-clap. Where did the enthusiasm breakdown disappear when it came to global jiu-jitsu events is my thought.
Well,
I can't answer that.
it's a very, very interesting session that we are having, and I'm making a lot of mental notes as I go along. Let me tell you, And I'm already formulating things for our session. Well, not this coming Monday,
Well,
right? The Monday after.
okay, one thing, Don. First of all, in the arts that I've never done jujitsu, so I'm confused with the question with what you're saying with the T clamp. I don't get that. I mean, is that
Bro,
sorry? Naive.
it's like
Flag.
when it's like golf.
Yeah.
When they clap, it's very quiet. But in jujitsu, it's even quieter. It's
Yeah.
you're
Is
not
yeah,
like at the AG
No
tournaments.
uproar.
I'm talking
okay.
about the upper echelon of
Now, okay, now
jujitsu.
that
Yeah, it's just slang.
you lost me for a minute, and that's only because I
No, I know all regards, and I know what you're talking about. No, I'm referring to the black belt invitational only, and the
Yeah.
higher upper
and it's
echelon.
quiet. So
Very,
basically, they're quiet. They're really quiet.
Yeah,
it's very
they,
prim and proper. You know, it's
Wow.
very like,
So it's like a tennis match. You gotta
yeah,
shut up.
yeah, it's like
yeah.
Wimbledon.
You can't. When the guy goes, "Yeah, I love you," they go, "What?
And
Shut up."
you can't do that. Yeah, you can't do that. You get thrown out.
That's right. And I
They'll
always
choke
thought,
you out and then throw you out.
that's
So really, it's not a weird question. It's a merit factual question, but even somebody like me that doesn't have the answer for it. It's like I was like, what happened? Did they shut the audience off? I didn't know what to think. As in the jujitsu world, please don't harass me. I love you. I shoot all your seminars back in the day, but that's the one part of the sport that I've never understood at the high elite invitationals. Juanita knows it's just a basic T
Very
clap.
like, yeah.
I gotta attend one of these.
If you want to see tremendous jujitsu and be bored at the same time, yes.
Yeah, well, yeah,
It's
no,
very technical. Like,
really. No, I
very,
heard about that.
very,
I heard it's very technical. I remember somebody saying, "Yeah, we went to the World Championships in somewhere in Washington. There was and they said that nobody really gets hurt, and it's very like it's proper."
yeah,
And I went, "No one really gets hurt." No, they said before he gets to the point where he's got him in a hold and they tap out. No
right.
one really gets hurt. And I'm like, I never heard of that.
No,
So
no.
it's very so it must be really, really
Yeah.
technical.
Very,
Well,
very technical. Actually, it's very dangerous. I just have to add, like, because we have a full contact dojo where I trained in for like a decade. It was all full contact, right? So we had different days that we did different things: boxing, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, kata, kumite, weapons. And you have to be very careful when you do all this technical stuff with jiu-jitsu because you can hurt someone if you choke them a little bit too long. There's
That's
lots of things that can go wrong. So we made sure that every person knew their mat partner and they knew how hard or soft, that's how we call it, how hard or soft they could go in the training rounds or when they were rolling. That's what we call it.
okay.
So it's very, very dangerous too. But not all of it, I would say, would always work on the street, because it's not always the same surface.
Yeah, that was
you brought up a great point. Can I interrupt you?
It's good to know.
Well, I want to bring up a point because I know both of these gentlemen very, 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 very well. Rafael Lovato Jr. and Rafael Lovato Sr. Now, see the difference between the two is Junior is competitive. Senior is just no. If you're going to sit in my seminar, and none of that tournament foo crap.
Yeah.
You want to learn from me, you're going to be able to use my jiu-jitsu on the street. And see, there's the foundational difference. It's because even though he created his son, who's a tremendous world legend, multiple time world legend, and arguably one of the greatest in his weight classes, but his father foundationally doesn't believe the same. He believes in jiu-jitsu for the real world, for the streets. And so when I used to shoot his seminars, you would see the profound difference and the profound magnitude. And it's where Juanita kind of touches on. He would teach where to hurt you. Because
One or two moves.
it's defense mechanisms, and the quickest way of not getting injured is to maim or take out your opponent as quickly as possible.
Yep.
So this is what he teaches. Joe Daddy Stevenson teaches the art of choking you out with one arm, and I guarantee you, I don't care how big you are, he will choke you out.
Pressure points, all those technical things.
I,
There's a
I,
difference.
I
Reminds
never,
me of Gene LaBelle.
Huh?
Gene LaBelle is a
LaBelle.
tremendous. Gene LaBelle's a tremendous,
Here's my
tremendous
Gene
man.
LaBelle story. Ready for this one?
Yes.
So I'm doing kickboxer too, and that Gene LaBelle's the referee in the fight. And I don't know who Gene LaBelle is because I just got to California. No idea. And so Gene LaBelle, with Michelle Kesey, he grabs Michelle Kesey, puts him over his shoulder, and throws him out of the ring. Now this is the older man, and I'm like, Gene LaBelle. And so we're at the Jet Center where Benny the Jet is, and he says, Vince, come on in the ring. I want to move with you a little bit. And I didn't know who he was, but he put his hand on me, just his hand, and I was crying. And I'm like, yeah, it just grabbed me, and I went, and I walked out of the ring. And he goes, where are you going? I said, I don't think it's for me. I just said, it's not for me. And then I realized who he was after, because they told me, do you know who that guy is? If he gets a hold of you, he's going to make you cry.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm so happy he was never mean to me. No, not mean to me. He never had the opportunity to really
do that again.
But because you know what, he just grabbed me once, and I felt the pain that I never felt before.
Yeah.
And he just touched me. So when I hear of Gene LaBelle doing to other people, like I remember he made a few people fall asleep here and there.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? I know, like you just said, somebody choked with 1.5. Gene LaBelle.
I know what you're talking about. You're talking about on set with Steven Seagal.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know exactly. Joe Striker Hanlon was there, and a couple of bro. See, the thing about me is, if you talk about a moment in this regard, I'm gonna know the history and context behind it. See, that's the difference between the front of the house and the back of the house.
That's right.
See, that's where the major distinction in my career, and I think the major problem in my career, publicly is, and I don't have a problem stating this. You do have front of the house people that are on the shows and the promotions, but those aren't the people that create it. Those are the people that walk in that night, that moment, and the world sees that.
Yeah.
See, my final thought about life and everything in general. You look at that synopsis and you put everything in the full context, even about life. It's always the I mentality, the we mentality. No, see, even the greatest world champion who I talk to all of them. You take any one of them. They always say, I won this world. No, you didn't. The team won that championship. You didn't build yourself. A team built you. See, that's the worst problem we have as people, is we want to say I. Well, there should never be the letter I. There shouldn't be the word I. Because in a real walk and in the real world, there is no I's.
That's right.
I truly feel.
What did you like to add, Vince?
Well, you know what? I gotta say, Don, you got me with the rock. And I'm gonna tell you, I can't wait. And when I put it down, I want to make sure you're there, my friend, because it's gonna be impressive. Because now you enlighten me, and wow, I didn't expect this tonight.
It's about the spirit.
I like to say, be glad. My show is on hold right now. My dystonia will never go away. But this is my first time publicly speaking. I know I'm going to get in trouble for publicly speaking because I've been told not to. But see, that's why I'm Don Mcquire. Because nobody other than my Lord and Savior was going to stop me from being on this show tonight. Am I in pain? You bet you. But sometimes our purpose is greater than our pain. See, like I said 2 or 3 times tonight, anybody would make an excuse to stay in bed and not be here with you guys. I can make that, and nobody would question that.
Mm.
But if I could get up for an hour and take my mind off of where I am and what I'm going through, and share a part of me with you and the world, I would rather be here. Because a narcissist cries about a situation. A genuine man gets up off his knees and creates the situation. I'm not going to cry about what I'm going through, because it's never going to go away. I'm just explaining to people tonight that nobody's going to silence me. I don't care what sanctioning body. I don't care what promotion. I'm Don Mcquire. I'm not bought and paid for.
Amen. I like that. I like that when people stand for the right thing. And I love energy, and I love the energy that's been shared here. And it's the best part about energy. You cannot do away with it. You can put it in another place. Like what Vince says, when that negative energy comes towards him, it doesn't stay long. He replaces that with positive energy, right? The words that we have spoken here this evening, the energy that we have created together, that synergy, that synchronicity can never ever be done away with. We have put it out in the universe, and I'm so grateful that I could be a part of it. I want to ask both of you to give some final words to the audience, because I know, Don, you are probably going to go rest now. Thank you so much for making this time. Vince, you had a very long day. Also, with your full-time job, thank you so much for making the time to be here. Final words, guys.
I just want to say thank you to the incredible, incomparable Mr. Vince. It takes a lot for me to reach out to individuals. And it was something that was lying on my heart and in my soul. I don't generally connect with a lot of people because I'm just different. But my final thoughts for the world is stop worrying about what's on the television. Put down your phones and dedicate 2 to 3 hours a day to family. And find that tradition that this country has lost. See, the purpose of a family is no longer there. But people want to complain about it. But you control it. So the empowerment is yours. My final thought is just to step away from the ignorance of the world and live your defining moments with the ones you love, the ones you cherish, the ones that matter. Not a hateful word or a sentence behind a picture of somebody that you're never going to meet nor care about. See, I did my show. I used to have the attitude. I didn't care if it touched one person or if it touched 10 million. As long as my guest walked away feeling that they got the best interview of their life, that's all that matters. It's not about success. It's about giving back. And like I said earlier before we went live, success is what you give back to your community. And if you're not giving back to your community, then what's your purpose? Because this sport isn't for the weak-hearted, but it's not a place to come and take. You have to give back tenfold what you take from this industry. You know this industry is a cruel place, but at the same time, it's full of wonderful and beautiful people, and that's why I love Vince, because he shows a different aspect, but he shows the truism, the realism behind the man, and that's a rarity. And you know, I appreciate coming on the show, Juanita. Like I said, I had harsh thoughts about coming on, but I made a promise to Vince, and I made a promise to you, and nothing would have stopped. So,
Thank you very, very much. I appreciate that. I'm going to go over to Vince now for his final words. I just want to say something. You know what's the biggest blessing for me about being here with both of you? Is that you met through something that God did through Ma'am. And that makes me happy because that uplifted both of your lives. And that makes me feel like I did something in God's power. He gets all the glory. But Ma'am did something to connect wonderful people with each other. And I'm going to sleep peacefully because I know that you are going to shine in your own ways, guys. You're going to make the world a better place. Vince is going to take that rock. He's got that rock he needs to put down. Don is going to keep on marching. So, Vince, final words. Thank you so much.
Wow. Well, you know what? I'm just blessed. You know, Don, I didn't expect this. I knew some magic was gonna occur somewhere, but I didn't think it was gonna happen this fast. People ask me, where you going, what are you doing, and I just knew some magic's coming, and I didn't expect it. And Don, you're one in a million, man.
Thank you.
Stay strong.
I will, but I think somebody slipped you a $50 bill, bro. No.
You know what? You couldn't buy this. Never.
No.
And you know what I'm going to say? In closing, I want you to know that thank you for reaching out. It means the world to me.
It means the world to me.
And I want to do this again. This has been really good. This is the best. This is the best session of life that I've had in a long time.
That's wonderful.
And,
wow.
You know what? It's taught me a lot.
Good.
And I know I've got good things to do and a lot of big things. And and this is the beginning.
Amen.
I want to thank you.
Amen. I was on a session with Vince about a year ago. That was after the first Ma'am Hall of Fame. And Vince said something in the interview. He said, you know what, Juanita, I want to tell you what my mom told me.
Yeah. And you watch, remember, wish big.
Wish big.
See, when you said dream, it's good, but it wasn't, because I have a card right here by my desk, and it's a birthday present. And my mom wrote down,
That is a wish big.
She goes, wish big.
Wish big.
And I had been wishing big for a year. And you know what?
It's gonna
You
happen.
wish it happens.
It is gonna happen.
And you know what? In this last year, I've been inducted in 3 other martial arts Hall of Fame, the
That's
USA,
right.
and I got the Legend Award. Unbelievable. To
Wow.
me, wow. Then
Yeah.
I got the greatest of all time, the GOAT. And then I got
I
inducted
did.
in the London International Hall of Fame with Gary
Oh,
was
Gary Wisniewski. Yeah.
and I'm in shock. You
And
know
there's
what?
another one coming up.
There's another one coming up next week. And it's going to be in Atlantic City, and we're going to see each other. And you know what? It's a whirlwind.
You wished big.
But and I wished big. And I did wish
Yeah.
exactly that.
Yeah.
But Don, you're amazing.
Thank
And
you.
it's going to get better.
Yes.
And I want to thank you personally. And thank you for showing up.
Hey,
And
thank
you know
you.
what? Next time we do this, we're gonna have new things to report. Let me tell you.
That's right. We're gonna have feedback.
Yeah, we're
Actually,
gonna do well.
schedule one. Yeah, we should
Yeah.
schedule one. We'll talk and then
And
schedule.
I gotta go wipe my tears off because you know what?
We'll
You guys
see
are
you.
killing me.
We'll see.
Thank you, man. God loves you. I love you.
Thank you. God bless.
You know what? And Juanita, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Connecting the dots.
Yeah.
It's
Thank you.
Don. Thank you for making this happen.
Oh,
Bless you.
brother, it was meant to be.
Sure was.
It was truly meant to be. That's
Amen.
that's
That's all I
fact.
got.
I'm gonna
That's
let
it.
Vince go dry his tears because it
Please.
was a very emotional session, and that is good, guys. We broke ground.
As
You
real
know,
as it can get.
very good. And Don's gonna go rest, and I'm gonna give the audience some updates here and some thank yous as well. So, guys, thank you very, very much.
Love
God
you, Don.
bless you.
Talk to you
See you on
soon.
the other side.
Bye, Juanita.
Bye. Guys, what an amazing session here at the Meticulous Moments podcast. Oh my goodness. We did it off the cuff. I want everybody to know that this was off the cuff. None of this was planned beforehand. We didn't know what topics we were going to discuss. We just let the Spirit of God lead us and guide us. And there is really a divine appointed time for everything in life. And that's the reason why the last church that I pastored for 7 years, I called that church the Kairos Church, Kairos Full Gospel Church. And there were many divine appointments that happened to me while I was the pastor here. And I want to say those divine appointments did not stop even after I went into global ministry, I'd say. So never ever disregard or discount the divine appointments in your life. You never know where it's going to lead, but God does. You never know why certain things happen to you, but God does. And that's the important thing to recognize, that you are in the hand, you're in the palm of an almighty, everlasting God. And his promise to you is that he's the same yesterday, today, and forever. He's not like some people have treated you, maybe like they are friendly today and tomorrow they're different or things happen. No, God is perfect. God is holy, and he's the same yesterday, today, and forever. And we can take heart in that fact. I'm so blessed and honored for everybody that was here with us in the studio this evening, as well as those who were participating, those who are watching. I want to encourage you to like and comment and share, because what was shared here this evening might speak to someone else out there. It might give them hope. It might give them a challenge. It might give them the encouragement that they need to get up tomorrow morning and put one foot in front of the other. Because sometimes people get into situations where it's very hard. They're tired emotionally. They are drawn out mentally. They are tired physically. Maybe life has just punched them a few times too many. But hearing words of encouragement, experiencing that good energy might just be what they need to make it another day. So let's be the light out there. Let's be the salt of the earth. Let's be the light of the world, and let's be kind. It's very important that we are kind. Now, I also really do not want to forget to send out a huge hug and much love to my baby Kevin Oliver. Thank you, my honey bunny, as I call him, for everything that you do for me. You're amazing. I love our family. I always pray God's blessing over our family. When I was a pastor and I was teaching younger pastors to preach, I always said what we speak about first in a session or in a sermon and what we speak about last in a session or a sermon are the things that people remember most. So I do not want to forget to send out love and hugs to Kevin Oliver. Please make sure you go to stoppinggunviolence.com. Please go visit there, and also stoppingfentanyl.com, and see the projects that he is busy with. Guys, thank you so much for everything. Thank you for joining. God bless you in your walk. And remember, you can do anything you put your mind to. I'll see you in the next session. Bye-bye.